designed our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth in the flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
I'm Colton.
And it's Jill.
And we are mic-less. That is a weird thing to say. I feel like this might be the first time in podcast history.
Other than, like 60 episodes of Now Slaying, of course.
Yeah.
But yes.
Well, it's his birthday, right?
Yes, it is Mike's birthday. We are rude people. We refuse to switch the day. So, you know what? Mike got to choose his birthday or the podcast.
I thought you were going to say Mike got to choke. Which maybe.
I mean, I don't know what kind of birthday celebrations he's having, but, for his sake, hopefully he is having a little choke. So, yeah. What a weird thing. I can't really transition that one. But we are back. We are back, and it is our final episode of May 24, Colton's favorite month.
You guys have just really let me down this month.
Yeah.
This is the worst May 24 I've ever experienced.
He's been looking forward to this month since its conception, basically last year. And we were like, what better way to just ruin it for him than make it everything he would hate?
So, a little peek behind the curtain. I actually rolled the randomizer like 3 or 4 times on this month, just because I was like, that is literally the worst selection that we could have for May 24, in my opinion. What was it? In Fabric, followed by Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So I rolled it like another time or two just to see, like, oh, is there something that good would crop up? And then I think the next one had like Tusk in it. And I was just like,
fuck yeah. Why did
I don't want to do Tusk either. And then I rolled it again, and it was just like, it wasn't really hitting. I was like, you know what? I'll abide by the rules. I hate the randomizer. I hate these choices. But, it was the honest choice to do In Fabric and Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And just so everyone knows, In Fabric is a hard nay. Very bad film. But,
In your opinion.
Yeah.
In the right opinion, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that you abide by the rules after you broke the rules. You're like, let's go back to the rules.
Well, nobody would know if I broke the rules, That's how honest I am. I break the rules and then I revert and I still tell everyone about it. So
we got a little bad boy on our hands here.
Listen, if it was up to me for May 24, we would never be doing In Fabric and Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Those are like, in my opinion, some bottom of the barrel ass A24 horror choices. So
I just want everyone listening to know that I was really fighting for Tusk. So I was trying to make it happen, but Colton won't let it happen.
We'll have to wait for a actual Jill pick to just bring the Tusk.
We got an elephant in the room here.
No, that's Anthony.
Yeah, we haven't introduced our
Jesus.
guest yet.
Jesus Christ, this episode's already chaotic. Yes, we've got Anthony. We've replaced Mike with what some may say is even better. One Anthony. How's it going, Anthony?
It's going great. I'm excited to be back on the pod. Thanks for inviting me back.
Well, it was such a pleasure last time. A fellow Terrifier lover. So we had to bring you back for, I don't know, a movie that is absolutely nothing like Terrifier. So that made zero sense. But, do we make sense? No. Have we been recording for over 30 minutes because Colton was eating a burrito? Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say you brought Anthony back just to watch me eat a burrito for 30 minutes, apparently, so.
And that's his first time meeting you, so.
Yeah, I wasn't on the
great.
Terrifier episode.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was a perfect
nice to meet you,
Yeah.
Watch me eat a burrito.
I hope you enjoyed that,
Anyway.
Wet my whistle.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, Anthony sold. I mean, we got a lot to get to, so we know where we're starting. What have we been consuming? What have we been reading? What have we been watching? What have we been listening to? What have we been doing in general? And Anthony, you're the guest, so we're going to start with you, because we know Jill's just going to be some weird books or something, so.
Yeah, so I was actually reading, I'm still not done it, but I've been reading Clown in a Cornfield 2.
Oh, nice. I've never read the first one, but I own it.
Yeah, you should pick it up. It's really good. Yeah, it's got sort of vibes of like Scream in a small town, and also the author is local, so he does incorporate Philly into the stories too. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, nice!
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
a piece
cool.
of shit.
So I've been on a watching binge recently. I watched Old Boy, the original Old Boy.
I've never seen that.
Man,
you want it spoiled?
It's a wild ride. I watched Spider-Man Across the Universe for the first time, and that was pretty good. And I checked out The Zone of Interest as well.
Oh,
and that was something. It was pretty dark, but also it's just like not what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it would be like more in your face. It's a lot of like subtle stuff.
I'm assuming you double featured it with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
As God intended. Absolutely.
Honestly, I'm just a sick fuck, and I just like watched that one night and then just like was really depressed after it. I probably should have followed up with such a great feel-good movie like Spider-Man.
So did you like it afterwards, Anthony? Like it wasn't really what I expected either. It is like kind of more of like a fly on the wall, sort of very cold, leering sort of movie. Did you like it afterwards, or?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I did really like it. I'll say it kind of gives you like the ick. If it's like the way to describe it, it just like makes you feel gross after watching the whole thing. But yeah, I did enjoy it.
We have a firm stance on the Holocaust around here that it definitely gives people the ick. So you're in good company.
So I've actually been playing Spider-Man 2. I took a break from playing that, and I just started picking that up again.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I actually just restarted The Witcher 3, something that I beat originally, but it was on sale on Xbox, so I picked that up.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been consuming right now. But yeah. What about you, Rowan?
Oh, geez, Anthony.
Oh. Wasn't ready.
He fumbled, thrown it to Rowan right off the bat. Oh man.
Well, let's sip it. You know what? I actually have been consuming a little bit more. The last couple of weeks have been kind of short. It's been like three like movies, 4 movies. I'll start with saying I did finish that Eric LaRocca book. You've Lost a Lot of Blood. Really enjoyed it. And I'm getting ready. I can't remember what it's called. I just bought another one of his books from last year that I'm going to pick up and read. So I'm actually doing some reading. Video game wise, I finally finished Control.
Nice.
Absolutely love it. It might be like up there, one of my all-time favorite games. Like, just I've talked about it before. Like, it's just awesome.
Did you read the files in the game as well? Like all the like dossiers and whatnot?
100%,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, good.
So right now, like, I don't have it 100%. I'm probably at like 90 something. So I'm still walking around if I missed any files, because I love like reading them and doing all that stuff. And then I just picked up on sale the remastered edition of Dead Island. So I've been playing that. I remember playing it when it first came out, and it's all right. I mean, most of these old games, when they remaster them, you kind of forget like how clunky they are and all that kind of stuff. But for a zombie, a zombie like hitting them type of game mashup, I don't know what you call it. It's fine. It's
my
good.
favorite genre, the zombie hitting them.
Zombie hit them. And then I have been watching quite a few things. So I'll start off, I was like the rest of the world, what was it, last week or whatever, that I watched the roast of Tom Brady live. Netflix did it, and it was pretty good, I must say. I don't watch football, so I have no connection to Tom Brady or anything.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
why?
Did they talk about how he kisses his sons on the mouth all the time for very long amounts of time?
No, but he did.
They fucked up the roast then.
The internet went very viral that he did have a very Will Smith moment. I'm not sure what he thought he was getting into, but apparently there was a, what the Patriots or whatever team he played for, the owner, like, there was jokes that were set off limits when he agreed to it. They were immediately made, and he, like, stormed the stage, and actually it was like, don't say that shit again. And, like, it went viral, and everyone confirmed it was, like, real, that he just didn't appreciate it. But I thought it was pretty funny. I remember when the roasts were really big, like in the 2010s or whenever that was. And this was like pretty unhinged because it was live, and you could tell a lot of comedians, like even Kevin Hart, like just taking advantage, saying wild shit they normally couldn't get away with. And it was a good time. I laughed. Kim Kardashian was there and got collectively booed by an entire stadium of people because no one knew why she was there. And she, like, they had her come up. She told some really bad jokes and just got booed off stage. So that was pretty funny. I did a rewatch Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Exilia hadn't seen it, so I decided to rewatch that. And also did a rewatch of Caddyshack, which is always fantastic. Like all-time Chevy Chase performance. Colton shaking his head. No love for Caddyshack.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I rewatched, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Such a beautiful coming-of-age movie. And I also watched Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag over here. And then I've kind of, same theme as usually every week. I'm just trying to catch up on stuff I didn't see or missed in the theater. So I got a chance to check out Civil War, which I thought was good. I think I liked it better than Colton ended up liking it. I just kind of didn't. I don't know. I felt there was no real political message. I think he was just trying to make something that looked cool, and that's okay. That's okay. I thought it vibed. I was like, all right. And I like the musical drops, so those were pretty cool.
Oh, those were terrible. Anyways, go on, Rowan.
One rewatch I did forget, I watched The Peanut Butter Solution, which if you are not aware of this, trust me, this will be a pick at some point. We've been talking about picking this since we started the podcast. It's from 1985. It's a Canadian film, has a bunch of Degrassi people in it. It's a kid's movie, but it is absolutely terrifying. About a magician that kidnaps children and puts them in like a sweatshop, and a kid that gets scared so much he loses his hair, and ghosts give him a peanut butter solution to grow it, but guess what? It doesn't stop growing. And I will just say this is a kid's movie. There's kids that put peanut butter solutions on their pubes. It's hilarious.
Oh my God.
You could do anything in the 80s in Canada. It's just wild. Like if you like Canadian, like Degrassi style, just like you're like, man, this is so bad. It's good. It's awesome. I think Severin put out like a collector's Blu-ray of this. So it's kind of got like this cult following. But yeah, watch that. Fantastic. I saw Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom finally. I'd missed it in the theater. Yeah, it's not good. I felt it needed more Amber Heard, to be honest with you. It just didn't make any sense with all the stuff they cut out. You could tell the story was mostly about Mira and Aquaman raising this child. And pretty much any time she was about to open her mouth, they just cut it to another scene.
Yeah, spoil it for me. What do they do with her? Like, is she actually just like off to the side the entire movie, or is she just like sidelined right from the beginning? Like, I don't know, locked up or something?
Yeah, they just like awkwardly cut scenes where you can tell she's supposed to talk, and it doesn't make any sense, because I'll spoil it now, so just cover your ears for like 20 seconds if you, I don't know, for some reason.
Oh yeah, our listeners really care about this.
This is your coveted movie, but like
James Wan.
She's like one of the main people at the end that like helps defeat the big bad. It's obviously supposed to be this like family movie where they fight a villain, so she's just kicking the ass of this villain at the end, but we haven't seen her the whole fucking movie because they just keep cutting her scenes out. But other than that, like if they hadn't done that, I think it would have been fine. Like it was colorful. James Wan does have like a certain flair that like, you know, it's kind of just like a two brothers on an adventure movie.
Are there any dinosaurs in this one? Because that was a pleasant surprise of the first one for me.
There isn't, sadly. There's just a lot of more Black Manta, evil Black Manta, and like zombie corpses and stuff. So I guess a little horror tinge there for you. I saw Drive Away Dolls. Also thought this was like super mediocre. I mean, I don't want to say anything that Colton didn't say like episodes and episodes ago about it. It's just like, yeah, the Coen brothers should never split apart. I just thought it was weird. It was written by his wife, and I don't know. I don't know if she just doesn't have it or what it is, but yeah, there was something missing about it. I checked out Monkey Man finally. I really enjoyed this. I think you weren't a fan of it, right?
No, I wasn't a big fan of it, but I admitted I was in the minority. Like most people that I follow did enjoy it. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. You know, I think like I feel like it kind of gets the unfair comparison to John Wick because it's not really like John Wick. I think there's more going on there. You know, there's not really any guns. It's more of like hand-to-hand combat going on in it. But I think just the mix of like this like Indian lore and look and feel, and I just really liked it. And I mean, I like Dev Patel in general, so maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I checked out Girl State and Boy State, which are documentaries. I think they're both on Apple, I believe. And these are about a school in Texas, I believe. That basically you go in high school if you want to be a politician, and it's like, it's very coveted. It's a lot of rich families, and then of course, you know, like inner city kids they give scholarships to, and they basically form government for a week everywhere from Supreme Court Justice to Senate to, I think, Attorney General is like the highest, or Governor. Governor is the highest thing you can get there. So Boy State came out first, and of course it's obviously interesting because you're in Texas. So, you know, and they filmed this in 2020, so we're kind of in, you know, Donald Trump era going on here. So it's just a lot of guys that love Donald Trump and want to be like Donald Trump.
Nice.
And are mimicking these fake elections like Donald Trump. Like they're spreading lies to the campus and like doing racist smear campaigns. And it's just like, it's bizarre. You've got like real left-wing guys that like have to pretend that they're right wing to get people to elect them. It's just like super interesting. And then in 2024, they put out Girl State, which is the same thing, but it's the girl side of the camp, which is like they get funded like $4 or $5 million less than the boys one do. And like the boys one, like actual politicians visit and talk to them. The girls one, like no one does. They're just kind of on their own. But it's like super interesting because, you know, they do the same kind of thing where you've got real right-wing Christian girls, but like it never devolves into like this like primal animalistic like no holds bar shit. Like the girls kind of hold it together because this is obviously when they shot this, like Roe versus Wade they knew the leak had come out but it hadn't been announced, and it's just interesting to see people from all sectors of politics, like as women, all be concerned about the same things no matter their political beliefs, and they have like this shared community that like the boys just didn't have. The boys were literally just like farting and flexing their muscles in front of each other and stuff, so it didn't disappoint. I've really been on this documentary kick. I watched Food Inc. 2 also, which just came out. Not very good. I enjoyed the first one. This one is about food markets and food production during COVID. And it is interesting, but it's very, very like elementary. It's stuff you would just kind of know in general. You know, we treat immigrant workers bad, and you know, we're not sustainable in our food production. And then the last couple things I watched Holy Man because I was bored one night. Eddie Murphy, Jeff Goldblum, Kelly Preston, all the ingredients that should be a good 90s comedy. It was bad. It was like It was bad.
I'm shocked.
It's labeled as a comedy, and it's not funny. I didn't laugh once. Like, nothing about it was funny. It was kind of weird. It's an old, I forget the guy who directed it, but it's the guy who directed, like, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Like, he did a bunch of big stuff. It was a movie that was originally written for John Candy, and then he died. And then years later, they casted Eddie Murphy. I put in my Letterboxd review. Eddie Murphy actually chose that instead of the Chris Tucker role in Rush Hour. So, who's the winner? Who's laughing now? Probably Eddie Murphy, because I think Chris Tucker is poor now. So
I was going to say, I think that's the only thing Chris Tucker ever did. So.
Well, he did Friday and stuff. I mean.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And then I left the last two because I know, Colton, I'll roll off you. We did do, actually, right before this episode, we recorded a Now Slaying on The Strangers Chapter 1. So you can go listen to that. That'll already be out when you're listening to this, and go hear us slay a slaytastic movie for the ages. I think it's considered, it'll be a classic by the time the theater run's done.
I'm not getting in on that.
Yeah, no. I'm being sarcastic, guys. And I know Colton saw it, and he asked if I saw it, so I'll use this to kick over to Colton. I also saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Colton, what were your thoughts on it?
You're not even going to tell me your thoughts first? All right, I
thought it was all right. I thought it was all right.
Okay.
It's not good as Matt Reeves. I don't think it's as good as the originals. I've never seen the Maze Runner series. That's the guy that did this.
Yeah, Westball. Yeah.
I mean, it's just okay. It's really hard to judge when, this is going to feed another 2 movies and they're just trying to build a story, but I didn't think the characters were overly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that as well. Like, it felt good to be back, like, in this world, even if it's dozens, if not hundreds of years after the other one, just a new cast of characters. I'm a huge fan of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I thought Rise and War were both pretty great as well. This one, I will agree with you, it's definitely weaker. I was really missing Matt Reeves' direction. I thought the score was a huge step down, and it had a lot of familiar beats from this reboot trilogy, just kind of like these moments in like action set pieces or these dramatic moments. It just felt like repeated a lot. I did like the idea of, what the villain was kind of fighting for, which was kind of perverting like the teachings of Caesar, or like misunderstanding it to just intentionally push his own doctrine and agenda and kind of persuade people, is kind of like, what people do with religion. So I was like, oh, this is interesting, especially where Caesar is like this heroic mythic character in this movie. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, by and large, it felt a little bit too long for me. I actually thought the CGI wasn't as good as the previous ones either, which is just weird because it's newer, obviously, by probably like 4 or 5 years newer at least than the last one. And it was just like, when I was watching it, I was like, it doesn't look quite as good as I remember. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes next. I think the next movie has a chance of like jumping the shark and kind of like, I don't know, if apes are going to space or whatever they're going to be doing, I think there's a chance that it loses a lot of people. So I'm curious to see what they do. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than a lot of regular blockbuster movies that come out. And like I said, it still had that vibe of the previous ones, even if I didn't like the characters and how it was executed quite as much. Like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for me is like literally like a 5-star movie. Like, that's excellent sequel in my opinion. So
when I was in the theater and I saw War, I cried. So
really? Okay.
Apes is like very coveted, and this is like my franchise. I love this franchise.
Yeah, so I agree. I thought it was all right. I actually haven't seen any of the original ones, Rowan. I've only seen the reboot franchise.
You're missing out, man. They're even like the sequels are fantastic because it's like genre inside of genre.
I'm interested to see where they go with this one within the next couple of iterations. I also saw The Fall Guy like a day before Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And I thought it was good, but it was something that I wish I liked more. I actually thought the marketing for this movie was really good. Like, I liked all the trailers. I thought it looked really fun. It was one of those movies, like, people were kind of, like, heralding as, like, we are so back. Like, movies are so back. It looks so fun, and it looks like a movie that doesn't get made anymore. And I just kind of wish I liked it more. I thought it was fine as well. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt have, a lot of chemistry, and obviously they're each very charismatic and charming in their own right. But the movie itself was just like way too long. Like, the movie is like almost 2 hours and 10 minutes long. And it's literally like this sort of like action, swashbuckling kind of romance movie. Like, an hour 45 is good. We've seen all these beats before, you just kind of want to go along for the ride. where this movie just kind of just overplays its hand. Like, I felt like all the jokes in it just went on for like way too long. There's a joke in the early parts of the movie that is about like a megaphone, and essentially it's like saying like embarrassing things on a megaphone like across a film set so everyone's hearing it, but it's like a director talking to somebody. And I shit you not, it goes on for about 5 minutes, and it's just like, okay, like it was funny the first time it happened, like in the first 10 seconds, but they repeat the beat like 4 or 5 times. And I was just like, what are we doing here? I feel like I'm watching like outtakes or behind the scenes of like the movie, like deleted scenes or something, right? It was very bizarre. And they also do things in a lot of the action set pieces where they'll like cross cut to, I don't know, just like character moments or people having a discussion. So you'll be in like the middle of like a car chase, and then like someone will kind of like whip around the corner, and then they'll just cut to like someone having a conversation in a bar. And you'll just be with them, like, having a conversation about nothing to do with the car chase, just, like, you know, trying to get a bit of exposition in. And you'll cut back to the car chase. And basically it makes every single action set piece feel way too long. Because it's like, damn, that car chase has been going on for 10 minutes now. You know, it's a weird pacing thing, the entire movie, that I was just like, everything feels, like, a little bit too long and not edited well enough, and it was constantly like distracting to me. Still has some fun stunts. There's lots of love for kind of like all the different departments of film production outside of locations. But yeah, it's fine. It's super cheesy, wears its heart on its sleeve, and kind of knows what it is for the most part. But I was just like, yeah, that was okay. You know, I was like, yeah, it was good. It wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it'd be a little bit better. But my audience clapped at the end, so I mean. They loved it.
Did it get like a canned standing ovation?
I didn't time the ovation, but you know, it was at least, you know, 5 seconds of clapping. So that's better than most movies I see.
That's what she said.
I was waiting for that. Speaking of clapping, Challengers, the movie from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
This was the one that was like heralded as like the threesome movie. You know, starring Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Feist. And I think if you're coming solely for, well, I probably could have phrased that better, but if you're coming to see this solely for like this much talked about threesome scene, you'll probably be left a little bit disappointed. But I think the movie is still like really horny and really erotic outside of that scene. It's just not specifically a threesome sort of eroticism. I just felt like the hype around that was like a little bit overplayed. But the movie itself is really good. I think it's energetic, it's propulsive, a lot of fun. I felt like some of the narrative structure, the way it's told, where it's kind of jumping back and forth in time all the time, sort of like a tennis match, which I kind of get it, where it's like, it's almost like they'll throw the story to the other person across the court and you'll go back and get their backstory, then you'll come back and it'll cut to something else. Like, I get it conceptually, but like watching it as a viewer was like a little bit annoying, because you get to like this climax in like someone's story, and then it's just like, oh, we're going to cut to the other guy and go back to 10 years and what he was doing. And it's like, all right, cool. But I just kind of wanted to feel like that story wrap up. So it was a little bit, I don't know, jarring at times, even if I didn't like lose myself, like where we were in time. And they're jumping, you know, 4, 5, 6 different time periods between 3 different characters, right? So it is impressive that you don't kind of lose track. The biggest standout, I think, is the cinematography. There's a lot of seamless visual effects shots where, I don't know if you guys have been seeing them like on Twitter and stuff. Like, it's all over my Twitter now, all these weird tennis shots from this movie now. But when I was watching it, I thought it was like a lot of inventive stuff. Like, there's one where you're kind of like watching the tennis match from below the ground. So it's like as if they're playing on like a plane of glass, and it's very strange. Or there's a POV scene where you're literally the tennis ball. Like, the camera is the tennis ball getting smacked back and forth across the court and like flipping around and all this stuff, and you're just kind of hearing the people grunt and groan as they're hitting the ball. It's I don't know, it's strange.
Are you
but
sure
I was
that's
like, oh,
tennis, or is that the threesome? I'm confused.
Or
well, that's
was
what
it
I'm
you
saying.
eating the burrito?
It was me inhaling the burrito before the show. I think that's intentional in this movie, right? Like I said, there's a lot of eroticism in the movie of just like the act of playing tennis. So like there is a lot of grunting that it's like, that's kind of similar to when he was plowing Zendaya last night, that grunt. Or like, you know, we're going to do a close up on like the calves flexing as like this guy leans to go and hit the tennis, you know, ball. It's just, it's all intentional and it's all there, but like, it's done pretty well. I did enjoy it for the most part. I didn't like the score. It's like this weird techno beat that, like, I don't know, you'll either love it as soon as the movie starts, or you'll be like, oh, that just feels not right. Like, for me, I was just like, oh, it's like too in your face. It feels like what you'd be like pumping at a club, essentially. Like not really right for the movie, I didn't think. The last thing I'll say about it is that where it ends, I didn't think it was super satisfying. It kind of just ends. Like you're like watching this match, you're watching like all the drama unfold. And you're like, okay, cool. Like where are we gonna go from here? And then the movie just ends. And I'm like, okay. Like I understand the dynamics. I understand where everybody is at this point in their life and like what was going on and why this match was important. It was just like I felt like I needed an extra 5 or 10 minutes at the end to really wrap everything up. But, you know, it's still one of the better things I've seen this year. It's just if you're going for the threesome, you know, that's like 5 minutes of the entire movie. And, you know, it's probably like a 2.5 hour movie or something about tennis, right? So a little bit more than a threesome movie, but, you know, I enjoyed it.
So we should leave the Doom popcorn buckets at home, or?
I think they should have had a Challenger's tennis racket popcorn bucket, which I don't know how that makes much sense, but
the handle can be a flashlight.
Maybe putting your hand in the little triangle hole or something. What I will say, there's some implications with tennis rackets in this movie that pay off in big ways. So yeah, it's a weird movie. It's good. It's a good watch. Other than that, I watched all of Big Brother Canada. I'm all caught up.
Yes.
Did you watch it, Rowan?
I did. I forgot. Yeah.
All right. I watched it all. That was the one thing when I was in St. Pierre. Just working my ass off and working like 86 hours in 1 week, which is just terrible. I watched Big Brother Canada, and it was very bad, but enjoyable. So, you know, it was worth the ride, I guess.
Our boy Tad. Almost.
Tad. Yeah, 4th place, you know, that's not bad, you know.
Canada's favorite contestant, though, so he won some money.
Well, he wasn't my favorite contestant, but, you know, that's fine. But yeah, that's all I've been watching, you know. Jill, what have you been watching? I have a feeling you probably weren't checking out Big Brother Canada.
Yeah, I can't even get my hands on like Canadian Drag Race. So if I can't watch Canadian Drag Race, I'm not watching fucking Big Brother Canada.
Wow.
But I actually didn't watch a lot of much since last episode because I don't know. I think I got like kind of burnt out. So I was just like playing games, reading mostly, being a piece of shit on TikTok or something.
Wow.
I watched one movie, and me and Colton kind of talked about this before we started recording. But I just saw The Coffee Table, which is a Spanish film, kind of a crossover between horror and black comedy. Very, very dark black comedy, if you decide to label as that, because it is so unsettling. It is about a married couple with a newborn who buy a really interesting coffee table, basically from like this IKEA kind of store. And I thought it was going to be basically the same story as in Fabric with like a cursed coffee table instead of a cursed dress, but that's not what I got, and I don't really want to spoil it for anyone because I feel like if you watch this you should go in blind, like not really knowing what's about to happen. It's much more shocking, but yeah, it got pretty crazy. The tensions were high. It was uncomfortable to watch. There's a very like guilty, desperate tone to it. But I really enjoyed it. I could not take my eyes off of it the whole time. So yeah, I gave it like 4.5 stars on Letterboxd.
The same as Lisa Frankenstein.
Same as Lisa Frankenstein.
Wow. Huge.
Yeah. When did you see that, Colton? Was that recently or no?
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. No, it's on my watch list. No, that's what I said. I haven't actually watched it yet. I saw that it was big on the Every Horror Movie on Netflix Discord.
Oh, okay.
And I put it on my watch list. And to tell you the truth, I was going to watch it last night, but I watched The Strangers Part 1 yesterday and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes yesterday. And I was just like, I'm kind of over movies right now, and I still had to watch Bodies. So I never got around to it. Yeah. But no, it's on my list, and I don't know, maybe I'll watch it before next episode. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it, and more importantly, what you rate it. But yeah, so apart from the movies, I just got a Meta Quest 3, like the VR headset thing. So I've been playing a lot of Beat Saber. I bought the Lady Gaga music pack, and I've just been dancing to Lady Gaga.
You just been beating it.
I've just been beating it and sabering it and sabering the beating it. And it's great. I love it. Also been playing a lot of Stardew Valley again. So that's where my mental health is at. I'm still playing the same Stardew file that I played like 7 years ago when I was living with my parents and teaching. So Jesus. But I've been reading a lot, and I just finished Crying in H Mart, which is a memoir. It's about this woman who's half Korean and half white, and she's American. And it's about having, you know, a Korean ethnicity, like half, and then also being half American, trying to fit in with either culture, but not fitting in with either, really. And it's about losing her mom, so there's a lot of grief in it. I thought it was a really good read, really good memoir, very descriptive language, and I thought the story was cool because part of it was local, like part of it was in Oregon, I think, and the other half took place like in Philly, so I thought that was cool. So definitely check that out. I know it's been really popular recently. Another thing I read was another sapphic horror anthology. This is like my third one, like in the last month. But it's called Moonflowers and Nightshade, and I didn't like it as much as Scissor Sisters, but I still really liked it. Yeah, I don't know, it's my new favorite thing to read, so I just love like devouring a story here and there.
Were there any Selkies involved in this anthology?
I don't think there were any Selkies in this one.
Dang. I'm out.
But like cool ghost stories, a lot of body horror, which is really cool to read actually, so I might pick up a couple more like that. And of course, I finally finished, after months, a Blue Ribbon Romance, which is the sequel in the
Minotaur
milking farm. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm 2 books deep in this franchise, and it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the other one, which is the same story in the human female point of view.
It never
That's
could
all
be.
I'm gonna say. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to talk about...
Is there a third one?
There's more.
Of course
but
there is.
it's
Of
not
course there
Minotaur.
is.
It's like this community. It's kind of like a Hallmark like town. Like it's really cute, but it's all like trolls and orcs and like minotaurs and goblins and vampires and stuff like that. And then there's the humans who live in like neighboring towns. And all of these are like really smutty. Like one's about a vampire like harem. That's the next one on my list. So I'm gonna read that and I'll report back to you guys. It's my duty.
Nice.
Yeah, Colton, it's like Hallmark, except everybody's jizzing everywhere. So.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that. And the last thing, I'm still reading this. It's another anthology, but it's called In These Hallowed Halls. It's a dark academia anthology. So that's pretty interesting. It's just like a bunch of short stories. Some of them are horror. Some of them are just like really good stories, but like
are they about like sleeping with your vampire professor?
Yes, without the vampire and
okay.
you know, other things about being in college and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. But yeah, that's all I've been up to.
Well, with all that, let's get into our episode. We do this every theme month. We're not really going to talk about watch shows because Colton already explained that even with cheating, this was still the option. 2022 bodies. So we will.
Why did you say it that way?
I don't know why I said it like that, but we're going to go with it.
You better keep it.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to get into the trailer and then we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences.
You guys, is B. Why are you guys being so weird? Are you talking about me?
Oh my god.
Who wants to play bodies?
Our friend is dead.
What do you know about Greg?
Hey, nerd!
He's a Libra moon! That says a lot!
What the f is going on? That would be so obvious if I were the killer.
Is it you?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Bodies was directed by Helena Rain and written by Sarah DeLapp, and the story is as follows. When a group of rich 20-somethings plan a hurricane party at a remote family mansion, a game of bodies goes very, very wrong, leaving them with an actual dead body and a killer in their midst. As the night wanes on, the hard truths and nasty lies begin to pile up as high as the bodies themselves, leaving only a select few to post about it on their socials in the morning.
So our first experiences, is this our first time seeing this, or are we daddy as fuck and, have this just in rotation? Jill, this was technically your pick for the month.
Mm-hmm.
So have you seen this before?
Yeah, I actually watched it for the first time in the past year, and I really liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. So I didn't actually think it was going to get chosen. I was really riding on Tusk, but here we are. And yeah, fun little flick.
I'll go next. I guess.
Please, Anthony, save us of the awkward pause. Yes. Well, is this your first time seeing it?
Yeah, it actually is my first time seeing it. Honestly,
Okay.
From the first trailer I saw of it, I wasn't really impressed. I kind of just thought, like, this is going to be, like, I don't know, a Gen Z ripoff of Scream or something like that. So this was my first experience with it, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. So what about you, Colton?
Yeah, I saw this one in theaters a couple years ago. Whenever it first came out, it was when a friend of mine, he booked like a ticket ahead of time to come visit me during the summer, because at the time I was unemployed and had nothing on the go. But I wound up getting a job in the film industry like 1 week after he booked his ticket, and he got like the non-refundable sort of ticket. So anyways, he came to visit me, and I was just literally all of a sudden working all the time, like super busy, like no time to chat or grab food or do anything. But on the weekend, I decided to go see Bodies, because I was like, oh, it's the new A24 horror movie. I like Rachel Sennett from the few things I've seen her in, like Shiva Baby and whatever else. So yeah, we went out to the theater to watch Bodies, and I remember basically being like, this is almost impossible to stay awake to. So I was watching it, and it was just like my eyes were growing heavy with every second. So I made it through. That was my first time watching it. This was my second time watching it. Hopefully I didn't fall asleep this time. We'll leave that to the review. Rowan, is this your first time seeing this?
Yeah, no, I saw this.
No, we saw it for Now Slaying.
Yeah,
I just remembered. Anyways, go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember this whole story because I remember organizing the recording session for it.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I saw this in Halifax, and if I recall, I should have listened to the episode, but if I remember correctly, I think people left in the middle of this in the theater. There's been quite a few of those, A24, and I remember that happened to Men, too.
And Spring Breakers.
Well, I never saw that in the theater. I waste my money on
you're
that one.
you're like a really cool A24 fanboy if you saw that in theaters.
Yeah.
That was before they were a thing, really.
I saw it in theaters, and people walked out.
Oh, well, I mean, some people
With
have...
good reason. That movie sucks.
Some people have
No,
taste.
it's great. I love it.
But, yeah, I know, I saw this. I've seen it one other time also, because, I mean, like everything, the Blu-ray came out. I bought the Blu-ray. Exilia was interested in seeing it, because Exilia loves Pete Davidson, and so do I. So I was like,
Same.
sure, we'll watch it again. And so I've seen it twice, and yeah. So, yeah, it's time to open up the floodgates and let the hurricane in. And let's talk about, what Colton calls bodies, but I call bodies.
Daddy as fuck.
All right, let's go. Who has something to say about this movie? I'll lead it off with my only positive note on this movie. It has a great cast.
It does.
There we go. Period. The
end. You're just talking about Rachel Sennett. I thought she really carried this movie. She was my favorite character. She was so funny, and she just delivered everything so flatly, but it was still really funny.
Yeah, she's great. I think my favorite was Pete Davidson, but sadly he's not in the movie for very long. So
Yeah, Pete's great in this one. This is I was trying to think before this. I feel like this was kind of his biggest role at the time, for a movie. And the marketing was heavy that Pete Davidson was in this. They were, because I don't know that much about Pete Davidson, but I'm sure he was in the tabloid news for something when this came out. And
dating Kim Kardashian.
I was I think that was probably during the Kim K stuff, right?
Oh,
I think
well,
so.
then yeah.
He was in his prime, basically.
Yeah, I think he was in the King of Staten Island before that, which was...
I never saw that one.
Yeah, he starred in it, and it's almost semi-autobiographical, which, would obviously be a bigger role in some regards than this. But yeah, I can't really think of things he was in, really, outside of that and this, so...
And this was also like, this is the first time I had seen Maria Bakalova.
You didn't watch Borat 2?
Oh, was that her in Borat 2? Well, you know what?
She's Borat's daughter, bro.
You know why it didn't click with me? Because I saw that like after, and I honestly, I saw it once and I didn't really think much about it.
Didn't she get like an Oscar nom for that? Did that happen afterwards? I know people were trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I don't know if that actually happened. But no, I look at it. It says she's in a bunch of the Guardian of the Galaxy stuff.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah. She's also in that new Apprentice movie coming out about Donald Trump. So
Oh no.
She was nominated for Borat.
Nice. There you go.
Supporting actress.
Bro. Put that on the soundboard.
Yeah, I think I've talked about it before. Like, I'm a huge Rachel Sennett fan. Like, I love Bottom. Shiva Baby was like one of my favorite movies of that year. Like, I absolutely love everything she does. And I thought like the other one, Mandela Steinberg, I thought she was pretty good. And Mahila, I thought was also very good.
Yeah, who's that? I don't know her from anything. It was just like she has one of those one names. I was like, is this like Discount Zendaya?
She was in that new movie that just came out, the Leave the World Behind.
And Black Mirror. She's in an episode, right? Of one of the newer.
Yeah, she was in Dumb Money also. She hasn't been in much, but I thought she was pretty good just because
she was good. Yeah.
I hated that character, which obviously you were kind of supposed to. So,
Aren't you supposed to hate all characters in this movie? Isn't that like everyone sucks?
Yeah, I mean that is not what's his name, Greg. Is it Greg, the army guy?
Oh yeah, not the 40-year-old dude dating an 18-year-old.
Well,
not him.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
He was chill. He seemed like he was nice. He was just a little out there, a little spacey. Just kind of like a hippie guy.
I like Greg.
I don't like Greg.
Did we ever find out his middle name? You don't ask that for a long time. Something Alice says. I just thought that was such a great line.
I don't even know his last name or his first name without IMDb helping me. So no, I don't remember that.
I mean, you guys should be big Greg fans. I see that he was in a bunch of the Lord of the Rings movies. So
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw that he learned how to pop the champagne with the sword from The Hobbit.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
I will say I really, even this watch, I did giggle at. I love when they kill him and then they go through the whole thing about him being a vet, and like that part gets me every time.
He's a veterinarian.
Yeah, not even a veterinarian's assistant.
Yeah.
To make it even worse.
But yeah, I thought the cast was great. That was what initially brought me into the movie, because I was just like, damn, like assembling a cast of like this magnitude at this point with like where all these people were in their careers, like lots of them like burgeoning careers but have like one or two good performances under their belt. It was just like a very impressive decision by the casting director, and that was like what drew me into the movie so much. Like I just wanted to see all these people kind of interact with one another, and this was one of those that I avoided like the trailers and whatnot leading up to. Like I think it was probably one that like Rowan posted in the group chat of like, oh, this trailer's out, you should check it out, and I didn't bother because I knew we'd do it on the show. So I was like, I went in expecting kind of, I think, a more traditional horror movie, and it's not it's very much not that. So
I was gonna say, I feel like you and me had this conversation in the Now Slain, I remember, about how like realistically, I mean, this is more a whodunit than a horror movie. It's it's literally a murder mystery movie. Although like everything about it I'm fascinated with, like like his body's a real thing. Like I've never heard of this. I know the director and the writer said that they base like it off of hurricane parties that they had seen in like documentaries or something, that kids were having these parties. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's going to be a bigger conversation between the four of us about, I know me and Colton have definitely ranted on a couple movies about this, but about people far older than Gen Z writing Gen Z movies, and then they're like, this is what Gen Z's all about.
Well, I have a note there as well. I was like, does a Zoomer even know what email is? Where she's like, oh, I'll email you the Wi-Fi password or whatever it is. I'm just like, what? You wouldn't like snap it to her or like Instagram her or something? Why are you emailing her the Wi-Fi password? Anyways.
Yeah, it doesn't even work like that. Like on an iPhone, you can just like.
I know.
I know.
It's
it
so
did
annoying.
Not make sense.
Yeah, you could just auto share it. Like if someone's, maybe you don't have their contact info, so it doesn't prompt. But like the movie didn't think that. It was just like, oh, what's your email? And I was just like, why is this in the movie?
Yeah, but also I don't think the intended like generation is entirely on point because one of the actresses had like a 96 tattoo, so like 1996. I feel like that's on the cusp of like the end of millennials, right? But like also they're kind of the start of Gen Z. So it's like a weird kind of like they're a bit older than what we consider to be Gen Z, maybe. So it doesn't explain the email thing and like other like obviously older, jokes and stuff like that. But I think, the typical Gen Z are watching this might be offended that certain things were inaccurate.
Well, if that's the case, then it winds up being like I don't think they really portray themselves as millennials either. Then, so it's like, well, who you?
Yeah, it's like in the middle. Yeah.
And I mean, I have no idea how old was it Sarah Delapa or Delape, who is the writer for this. I don't know. I'm looking at her picture. She looks fairly young compared to the director. But, like, when watching this, I get it. There's kind of, like, this nihilistic tone. Like, it's kind of making fun of Gen Z. So, as much as the casting, I think, is like, hey, we want the young kids in watching this. Like, I think at the same time, it's like, with the dialogue and everything, like, oh, I'm going to make fun of, this generation. But it was just... I think about all, especially, like, newer horror movies that, like, Talk to Me, stuff like that is kind of this era horror. I just, like, the dialogue to me doesn't overly work in this. Like, every line is, like, some catchphrase or some dig at, like, social justice, like, and all this kind of stuff where, I don't know, like, at my work, I interact with old people, I interact with young people that, like, I work with all different ages, and I'm like, I've literally never heard anyone talk like this, like these guys do, like, and I understand, like, these guys are supposed to be chronically online, but I felt the dialogue was, like, a little unnatural to what probably would actually be. And I mean, maybe I'm just offended because, yet again, another movie that just takes digs at podcasters, so.
What's weird is the dialogue doesn't bump to me as being inauthentic a lot of the time. It just bumps as being, like, a lot of, like, ad-libby to me. Which annoys me because it goes on for like a long time, like back and forth, where I'm like, this, if it was like scripted this way, it'd be tightened up a lot more. I work with people that are like, 20, 21, 22, and no, they don't talk as like insufferable as this, but they do talk in a certain way that's like close to this, that it's like, okay, I could see it. Like if you were vapid and rich and just like, drinking, doing drugs at a party, you could be like this way and like this, kind of like cutting, I guess. But like a lot of it to me just reads as like, we're going to try this line 2 or 3 times and you're just going to, Rachel Sennett's going to say 2 or 3 different things that, pops into her head and we're going to choose one. Like a lot of the movie feels like that to me. But I didn't get the hello fellow kids energy, which I don't know. I usually get that. I feel like, I don't know if Sarah Delap or Delape or however you pronounce her last name, if she's young or not, but like I didn't get it a lot in this. I got more so like people that are slightly too old trying to talk as if they're like 23. Like I got like I'm 28 trying to talk with my little sister as 22 is or something like that. I got like a weird thing like that where it was just a lot more like ad-libbed, I guess.
So I actually thought the dialogue was pretty on point because, I don't know, I teach a lot of teenagers and especially the younger ones kind of talk like this, like exactly. Even though this movie, like every line is pretty much a parody, it is pretty like on point, but also is satirical, I think. So I think it really works. And I do like, I don't know, I love funny like little one-liners in movies, so I don't really care that every line is kind of a one-liner. I think it's pretty funny, but yeah, that's one of the things I like about it.
Yeah, honestly, I could say I believe it was B was saying, or who was it? B or Sophie was mentioning that their mom was bipolar,
Oh, yeah.
And then Alice drops the line, like, mental health is such a serious issue. And I just, like, I thought that was so great.
I love when she was like, I haven't told anybody this before, but I struggle with body dysmorphia or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off type thing.
Yeah,
that is a good line. I agree.
I mean, Alice was my favorite character in this, just because obviously, you know, to me it was written as the most satirical character in all of it. And I mean, I just thought, like, Rachel Sennett's, like, delivery was perfect on everything. Just, like, how funny her lines were. And like I said, I mean, still just, you know, just cutting me deep with the podcast stuff. But, you know, I thought that was...
Yeah, everyone has a podcast.
Yeah, jeez. But, and Pete Davidson, too. Like, I thought the Pete Davidson stuff was pretty funny. I would be interested to know, like, it did feel like most of his stuff was probably ad-libbed.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, when he's just talking about his dick for, like, 30 seconds. Like, you know, when I put that out there, type of shit. It felt like he was just trying stuff, like, for the camera. That's what it felt. It didn't feel like it was actually, like, in the script to me. He was just, like, kind of vamping going on and seeing, like, what he would say in this situation, and, like, that was the one that, like, stuck, is what it felt like to me.
I mean, it's not his fault he looks like he fucks, man.
He's coked up. He's bitter.
Yeah, or, like, even when he's talking so much about, like, his black eye, right? Like, he's just going on about his black eye, you know, but how it makes it tough. And, like, if you saw me coming out of the store, like, what do you think type of shit. That is just, like, right away when I saw him, he just looked like he had, like, raccoon eyes when he was in the pool. Right, like is all like hollowed out, and then I was like, oh, okay, they're just gonna make light and point out the fact that he has like an actual black eye and he thinks it's cool and whatnot, right? It's just, I don't know, all of his lines, like I said, he works for me. I think he's good. It's just like, once again, there's this energy of just like ad-libbiness through the movie, which I guess if you like it, you like it. For me, it just feels like very meandering and kind of like it doesn't feel like it's going somewhere. It feels very much like a vibe or a chill movie when once like the deaths start happening, there needs to be like a rationale and an explanation for that if you have this very like ad-libby kind of wishy-washy script, it's hard to kind of keep it on the rails and keep it moving forward. That, you know, it kind of just butts heads with me with the sort of movie it is.
I liked that they really focused on the black eye in the beginning, because at the end when Max comes back, you see that like cut with the bandage over his forehead. So like obviously him and Pete Davidson's character got into a fight. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I love that during the whole movie, there's just like chaotic infighting going on. Like these friends hate each other. The only reason they're friends is because they have history being friends. So even though they're like so toxic to each other and they end up killing each other and shit, you know, it's interesting to see at the end. I mean, this is what they would have been if everyone hadn't died. Like they just be getting into fights and shit. And like this guy comes back and everyone's dead. And he's like, who's this person? And like, what happened here? So I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked how they kind of like mention Max throughout the whole movie too. You know, they keep you thinking like, oh, when is Max going to show up? Or is he going to show up? Or is he actually doing this? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that portion of it. And I just like how he comes in nonchalantly, and he's just like, pretty much like, what the fuck did I just miss? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like right at the end.
Yeah.
The sprinklers come on, the power's back. They got reception.
Yeah, strange last line, I guess, that ended on. Like, I understand the slight, like, gag there, but it was just, like, weird line. And also freeze frame for, like, half a second. But anyways.
See, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, is it because they're young kids or all kind of shitheads? Maybe I'm reading into that. I almost took that as, like, a kind of a nod to, like, Larry Clark, because I think this starts off like Larry Clark's Kids. I think it ends like Larry Clark's Kids. You know, we have the opening where, you know, we're getting like some hot and heavy making out that's like turning into a little finger banging going on, which Kids opens up with like the lead like making out with like a 12. Obviously Kids a little more risque than this, but you know, like making out with a kid, it's two kids making out and stuff. And then Kids ends with, in the aftermath of all the chaos of Kids, like a guy waking up and just being like, what happened? And then it just freezes. And I, like, to me, it was giving me like big Kids energy. I don't know, like, if any of you guys have seen Kids, like, That's like an all-time movie for me. I mean, like, if you don't know him, I'm sure people listening, someone follows Larry Clark, but iconic 90s movie director that made kind of underground films that were extremely risque about extremely taboo subjects that were, you know, basically like rated R, rated X, but is like beloved by the film community as these like underground, almost shot like skate videos, but like teen movies. To me, I was just like, I was kind of curious. It just gave me that energy in general. So it'd be interesting to find out if they had that kind of influence on this.
Are the Larry Clark movies like poorly lit and poorly photographed and whatnot as well? And
I mean, I don't think they're made. I mean, you would almost think that they're documentaries, like following, you know, kids is about, you know, like the kids getting AIDS at like the ages of like 12 to 16, being like poor skaters in like downtown New York City. And so, I mean, obviously that warrants more of low budget, but yeah, I mean, probably not actually, now that I think about it, it probably would be an A24 film if it came out now. Like, Larry Clark is probably like prototypical A24.
Yeah, for me, like, this movie, there's a certain point probably about midway through where the power goes out, right? And then pretty much the rest of the movie is just lit by cell phone flashlights. And I'm just like, whoever made this decision needs to like never work in the lighting department ever again. It's like the movie just looks so muddy and bad for the rest of it. And I understand it's like, oh, it's authentic, you know, it's just they'd all have their cell phones out or, you know, be lit, you know, going around like this the entire movie. But it's just, it looks so off-putting. The entire movie for like the last half of it is just all gray and washed out and you can't really make out a lot of it. And it's very, I don't know, it's like terrible to watch like as a movie. I hate the choice. And also it's just a lot of the camera work in the movie as well. It's just super imprecise where it's just like, it's moving like all the time. Like you could tell it's all handheld and they're going for like a dolly shot or they're going for a steady cam shot, but they never nail it. It just always looks like imprecise and off a little bit that it just drives me crazy. There's even stuff like Rachel Sennett's like glow sticks. This is really nitpicky. Like her glow stick continuity. I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but it'll cut to her and her glow sticks will be like this and they'll cut back and they'll be like this. And then they'll cut back to her and it'll go like this. And just basically there's like no precision given to like any of the technical elements of this movie. And it drives me crazy as I watch it. Glow stick continuity, whatever. But just like the fact that over half your movie, you decided to light pretty much by just cell phone lights. I understand that it's accurate, but like that's not how like any movie is ever filmed, you know. Like there's loads of movies, every movie in history when there's a night shot, it's just not just the moon in the sky, right? It's a very weird look. I guess it helps it stand apart, but like for me when I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh, it makes me sleepy.
Yeah, I didn't really notice any of that, but I just want to say a positive thing is that the scene where it's like the exercise room or the gym or whatever with the red light therapy mask, and then that red light is like lighting up that entire scene. I really liked the look of that.
It was a blue light.
It was red.
No, it was blue. Blue light.
Why was it red?
It's red. You're thinking about when Pete Davidson dies around that time. It gets red. Like gets lit up with like a red alarm for that little period.
His mask, what? Greg's mask is a blue light seasonal depression therapy mask.
Mm-hmm.
Was it blue for you?
The mask was blue. Yeah.
Jill.
I'll get back to you.
I just want to add to that, like the whole them like Greg just still thinking that they're fucking with him the whole time. And he's trying to still go along with it, and this poor dude just takes a fucking kettlebell to the back of the head.
Oof.
Just brutal. I really enjoyed that scene a lot. It was just, like, drawn out a little bit, make you feel a little uncomfortable. And the way she just, like, hits him twice. That second one just does him in. It's just, I don't know, just watching that was pretty brutal. But
it's weird because I have a note for that scene as well, and I said this knife attack on Greg is also poorly shot and boring. I will say that the kettlebell to the back of the head is like, you know, it's well done, but for me it's like that sequence is kind of like what I have an issue with this movie, where it just doesn't feel like it's tight or like edited. Like it doesn't feel like there's a sense of urgency in that scene whatsoever. It doesn't feel like there's a build up, and then it's like it almost feels anticlimactic when he gets hit in the head, which, you know, you could say like, oh, that's the point. It just kind of happens. But like for me, when I was watching it, I didn't get like tension. I wasn't like nervous. I wasn't, you know, worried that Greg was gonna die. Like there's the moment where they like all pick up the knives and they all put the knives down on the floor. Then some people start going for the knives, and it's very like labored, and it goes on for like a good couple of minutes. And I will say I like the final beat, and I do agree like B just bludgeoning him a second time is like a good little beat for the character. It's just, yeah, like it's another one of the parts of the movie where I like some of this, but it goes on too long or like overstays its welcome. There's a similar scene near the end where I think they're kind of doing the same thing, but there's less of them obviously at this point. It's the scene where the four of them are kind of revealing secrets at gunpoint near the end of the movie. That it's another similar scene that I like it conceptually, and I like it's basically they're all kind of backstabbing each other and revealing secrets and telling lies and whatever. But it's another thing that just kind of goes on too long. Then it gets really messy with what's happening. I understand some of the messiness is how the gun goes off. You don't know who did it, who killed her, whatever happens. But it's just, there's a lot of like imprecision to this movie that just like, I think it's like throughout everything that is just like, to me, it just makes it all messy. And a lot of these beats that I think should work just don't really work for me because of that.
I did like the Greg scene also. That was like, I will say that was my favorite scene. I'll be honest, I mean, I don't know about the technicality of it just because I wasn't looking that hard into it. But to me, do I think there was like a lot of tension? Not really. I mean, that also might be because, you know, which is another talking point for this movie I'm sure we can get into later. But, you know, like this kind of movie really only has an impact when you watch it the first time because you know the beats, you know who done it. Like a who done it, once you know, it's kind of ruined for you.
I disagree.
Do you?
If it's a good who done it,
yeah,
you can watch it multiple times and you'll pick up on things. Like you watch Knives Out a second time, you can pick up on a bunch of different details to it.
Yeah,
like,
well, I'll
when it's
agree
a
with
sloppy
that,
whodunit that relies on
a
layout gag,
like that,
then yeah, it's you can only watch it once. Yeah,
but like I said, I just felt that Greg scene was pretty much the only real high tension I felt throughout the movie, so I did enjoy that, and I like that brings us into questioning V, which is kind of our look into this world at like until then, but then once she bludgeons, you're like, okay, wait a second, like, if she can kill Greg this easy, like, you know, maybe she is someone we have to look at.
Yeah, I'll say, like, for me, there was definitely some tension in the movie. I mean, maybe not in every single scene, but, I mean, the scene with Pete Davidson just berating his girlfriend, like Emma, and really just invalidating her feelings throughout that whole scene was pretty... I would say that was pretty intense before he kind of just gets kicked out of the game. But yeah, I feel like there, like a lot of the stuff with David, and there was definitely some things with Sophie and B, you know, B trying to like look at her phone and stuff like that. There was a lot of tension there too, at least for me. But
yeah, I guess specifically on that beat, like the later one with Sophie and B, is that as the watchers of the movie, like we know that Sophie cheated on B regardless. Like we see earlier in the movie, like someone comes across like the yellow bra. She's like, that's my bra, put it down. And the only reason that moment is in the movie, so when the person finds the yellow panties in the car later on, you can put two and two together and basically like, oh, okay, it did actually happen. They did like actually have sex in the car. So I do agree that like the character, I guess, doesn't know, but like there wasn't really a tension for me in terms of like, oh, did Sophie cheat on B with whoever, Jordan? Because it was like, oh, we know like from the movie that that's what it said, even though I don't think it's explicitly spelled out at any point in the movie. I do agree that, once again, the Pete Davidson stuff is good, but he's only in the first 35 minutes of the movie, and this is a 94-minute movie, right? So he's not in the latter hour of this movie, and I do think the movie is worse without him in it, but I guess the tension for him would have been, for me, it was like more so between him and Greg, Like, because you could tell, like, they were trying to angle it as, like, a first-time watcher, that you believe that, oh, maybe Greg snuck off and killed Pete, or, you know, they got into an altercation. Like, they were trying to, like, pass that off as, like, the first idea of who did it. So I thought that worked as well. But, like, at a certain point, I just kind of knew that none of these people killed Pete Davidson. Like, was that a huge, like, reveal to you guys when you watched it the first time? Like, they didn't seem capable of killing Pete Davidson, right? So, like, when it's the reveal, it's like, oh, he was an idiot and he accidentally killed himself. It's like, no, I didn't piece that specifically together. But I didn't believe for a moment that Maria Bakalova went out and, like, kettlebelled him too or whatever, you know? Like, there wasn't enough, like,
I didn't see what actually was to come with him just trying to do a TikTok thing.
Yes. That's a little bit hard to guess, but
yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, I thought it worked for me. I remember seeing in the theater, I got a chuckle out of it, which, I mean, I think was the ultimate goal.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's comedic for sure. Yeah,
I mean, I could see, like, Jordan maybe being the one that maybe people think she's the one that did it, because she did just straight up shoot Alice in the leg.
Yeah,
you know?
She's a raging cunt.
Yeah. Jordan was,
I
like,
hated Jordan.
the character. I hated her.
Yeah.
Oh my god, she's the fucking worst in this whole movie.
Yeah, that's why, like, I mean, even though I know what happens, like I said, I've seen it before. Like, when I watch, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I would repeatedly think it was her every time, because I'm like, well, she's, like, actually the psychopath here. Like, you know,
That's
she's
ableist.
She's just... Well, I was going to say earlier that Anthony just sticking up for Emma like that makes him a real ally. So that's good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, after seeing this movie once, this is one of these movies that I just don't really get watching ever again, because it isn't one that I think you really see any more depth to it. I think a lot of this movie relies on just, like, the twist of Pete Davidson accidentally killing himself, and when you know that, when you watch it repeatedly, like, over again, it's just kind of like, what are we doing for a lot of this movie? Like, a lot of, like, kind of the drama and tension and what, like, the characters are saying are also trying to lure you into believing that one of these people could have killed Pete Davidson. Like, that's what a whodunit is trying to do, right? So it's just like, when we know that, there's not a whole lot of entertainment value here other than purely, I don't know, someone like a Rachel Sennett giving a really good performance, as she does in every other movie that she's in, you know? So it's just, as I was watching it this time, I was trying to see, like, were there clues or little things I might have missed the first time, especially since I was, like, half falling asleep the first time I watched it. And I don't know, a lot of it just kind of still seemed basically what I saw the first time. There wasn't, like, an added level of depth there. That I missed the first time around, I don't think.
Rewatching it this time, kind of like what Rowan just said, like, you know, the getting a chuckle out of it. That's kind of what it was for me rewatching it. Like, I knew what was going to happen, but I don't know, listening to the dialogue and stuff kind of made it worth it. It was just, you know, I'm not trying to figure out who killed who, because I already know.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of entertaining just because of the dialogue and everything, and some cool shots. But one thing I also really liked is the TikTok song that they chose, which was, like, when COVID first hit and everyone was in quarantine and downloading the TikTok app, the Bored in the House and In the House Bored song was everywhere. So I think it's really funny that they used it here, and it's like a hurricane situation.
Yeah, I mean, it was TikTok as fuck. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll use that to lead in. Obviously, we weren't going to get away without me talking about my guy, Disaster Piece, who did the music for this, which, you know, when I heard I remember this coming out and I heard he was doing the music, I probably screamed so loud in my house. You know, Disaster Piece is the guy that did the soundtrack for It Follows, which we are, you know, I know me and Mike, very vocal, our all-time favorite horror movie soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I love it as well.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I actually do like a lot of his work in this. Do I think it's as good as It Follows? No. I think a lot of the stuff is repetitive in this, because obviously I went, like, I remember seeing it and I had to drive an hour away to go see this in Halifax. So on the way home, I was like, well, I'm going to go listen to the Disaster Piece music, and it feels a lot of the same. He uses a lot of the same tones and beats, and I just don't think it has, like, a listening pleasure like It Follows does. This one's a little more, like, grating, which I can see, like, these characters are also grating. I think he's kind of saying something in the music. And I will say, I kind of agree with Jill. I've kind of been ragging on this, but like watching this now the third time, like I didn't really have like a bad time watching it. Like I got some chuckles, I think it's like competent enough as, just like a little watch. Yeah. And the other note I had here too is, and I think Colton brought it up about just the lighting and stuff. I did have some issues with just some of the logic on the phone lighting. So like when V's like walking around the house trying to figure out how to get back in the house, and it's like she's just shining her flashlight in the window, looking at someone. It's dark. Like that person's gonna see you shining your light on them, but like they don't even recognize that she's doing it. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, there's just a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, well, these other people would see that light shining, and then they just throw that logic out of like, oh no one sees any lights anywhere.
It's the same thing when they're playing the game and she's crawling around with her flashlight on, and someone walks by. Like they would see that 100%.
Which also happens later, too, with Sophie, when she's hiding behind the chair.
Yeah. They also do stuff with the flashlight stuff anyways, that it's like they're using the flashlight, but their screen is an all-white screen because you need the light reflecting back on the actress's face to light her face as they're shining the flashlight into the camera. And it's just like, literally, it's like we've all used a flashlight app. It's like you'd intentionally would have to do like multiple steps to get an all bright white screen on your phone and then also using the flashlight. Like it's just, I don't know.
That was before the flashlight came out too, remember? Like on the iPhone, there never used to be a flashlight. That used to be the app. It was just a white screen.
Yeah, I remember that as well. That was sick. But yeah, there's a different time, right? Like they were using like modern phones and stuff in this movie. It's just, it was an intentional choice to light like a lot of that second half, and if it doesn't bump for you, it doesn't bump. But like when I was watching it, it's just like, I think you search up the screenshots for this movie, all of the screenshots are within the first 45 minutes of the movie, like on Google. And that's for a good reason. It's because the whole latter half of the movie is just like muddy and murky and just lit by just cell phones, and it doesn't look very good. There's this like every now and then they'll do a good scene like compositionally, like the way the lights are like reflected, it'll work, but you could tell a lot of it is just haphazardly, like people holding their cell phone and talking is the thing, right? And then that always doesn't give a beautiful image, right?
I was gonna say, I don't know, like maybe this movie accomplished what it was set out to accomplish, because I watched this and then I had to run to the store before we recorded, and I picked up a whole bag of like crunchy Cheetos,
Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
So I saw her shoving her face with them, and I was like, yeah, I think I need a bag of those.
She made them look good.
That's an interesting beat, too, where it's like, she goes out to eat Cheetos, find a pair of panties, then goes back into the house, and I'm like, okay, this,
Yeah,
she gave up searching, gave up searching until she ate her Cheetos. Then
I just kind of took that, though, as like, I mean, she's still like processing just the trauma of murdering someone and seeing a bunch of people murdered and are, I guess not murdered, but accidentally killed.
Yeah. After I like murder some people and puke up, the first thing I want to do is go eat as well. So, yeah.
So what about like, I was going to say, what about like the kind of the finale? It's on the final fight, I guess, between Sophie and V, and just like running for the phone, check the messages and all this stuff. Like, did that work for you? Did it? At that point, I just felt it was kind of...
I was like asleep at that point.
Oh,
so.
You were fast asleep. I just felt like they played it out too long, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was whatever.
I thought the ending maybe lacked a little bit, especially when you had like the showdown between the two of them at the end. I don't know, she was so focused on getting the phone instead of like grabbing the gun. It's just, I don't know. I think it could have been executed a little bit better for me, at least.
Well, that's the thing. I never even knew that we were supposed to be buying them as like actually fighting, like a showdown. Like the way you framed it, Rowan, as like, the boss battle at the end of the movie, it was like, I didn't really get that. It was just like a little scuff, like trying to get the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like it wasn't like the climax of the movie, right? Like I would say like that was a couple scenes before with Jordan.
I was gonna say, the way you're talking about it, the climax was when Pete Davidson died, and then it was all downhill from there.
That's true.
However, can we appreciate a little girl on girl tumble in the mud? Violence aside, the water, when they're like falling in the water, that was hot. When they're rolling in the mud, that's hot. I'm here.
I guess me and Auxilia always have this conversation that like it's always a bit in like comedy movies about like, girls fighting, rolling in mud, like all the guys stop to watch. I don't know. I guess I don't really get it. I'm curious where that came from. I've never in my life had that situation happen. I don't know why like mud is the preferred choice here. Like
it's good for your skin.
Is it? Yeah. To me, like...
a little mud mask.
Because you're always thinking, it's like these sexual innuendos, but like, I don't know, they're rolling in mud. So am I just supposed to envision they're rolling in shit or something? Like, what the fuck's going on?
It's primal.
Yeah, I think you're being a prude, because you can have like coleslaw wrestling. People do coleslaw wrestling and like
Open
Jello
up your
wrestling
mind,
and shit. Yeah, come on.
I'm obviously not on the side of the internet you're on where there's
It's
coleslaw
not the internet,
wrestling.
it's real life. It happens in Florida. My friends told me
The internet
about
is
it.
real life, Rowan. It's real to me.
You just explained it. You said it's in Florida. So
Exactly.
we need some Florida
That's not real
listeners
life.
to confirm this. What I want to know what's real is like this game of drinking and then just like slapping the shit. Is that like a thing? Has anyone ever done that? That seems like the most unappealing thing I could possibly do when trying to have a good time.
Listen, don't be kink shaming once again.
Is it a kink?
He's just asking, have we ever done that?
I don't
I've
think
never...
it's a drinking game that most people play, but could it be a good time? Absolutely.
I guess.
I don't know that either. Like, obviously, I've heard people say like, "Oh, I can't feel my face" and like stuff like that. But I've never seen the like slap me once and then you can drink and then slap and then just keep going. I haven't seen that. The bodies game though that we mentioned earlier, like that's just kind of similar to like Werewolf or I don't know. There's a couple of different games. I was gonna say Heads Up 7-Up, not quite like Heads Up 7-Up, but kind of close.
I've
there's
never
a bunch
heard
of
of
different games
Werewolf,
like that.
but I remember Greg making the mention or whatever.
Oh, there's another one as well that it's like you're a serial killer. You walk around and you wink at people to kill them. And it's like
I
the
know
same
that
thing.
one. I remember that.
Yeah,
one
I forget the
when I was
name
a
of
kid.
it. Yeah. There's different ones like that, but like once again, I don't think it's a thing that like adults actually do. Like at a party like this, like this group of people, I can't really see them playing bodies. That's like a nerdy group of people would play that.
Don't give us that look, Jill. This is on our side of the internet where people aren't slapping the shit out of each other.
I'm just saying I've never had a game where you wink at someone to kill them. But
dude, that was like in literally like middle school, high school for sure. There's some sort of game we used to play in school. I can't remember what it was.
I was gonna say I feel like we have substitute teachers.
Music class, I feel like, or something.
Do something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Weird.
Did you guys have any other notes about this, or did we want to just get into rating it? What do you want to do?
One thing.
Yeah, of course.
Since you're talking about the music, there's
We're
a couple
not,
of times,
but that's all right.
There's a couple of times there was this like kind of chimey bell type of like xylophone kind of sound going on, and it reminded me of AFI Prelude 1221 from the December Underground album.
How did I know?
It's like it's the same fucking sound, and it just triggered me, and I was like, cool.
How does a movie that the music is so far separated from any goth music,
I'll make it happen,
and you somehow just find a connection?
Okay.
I think the soundtrack's like Charlie. What is it, Charlie XCX or whatever her name is? Like it's like
just saying
that music, and then you're like AFI though. Let's have a little
AFI
discussion.
December Underground. Bang.
We've had this discussion. I don't know what you're talking about. I know. What is it? Miss Murder, because it was on Guitar Hero. That's
and
all I
actually,
know.
okay. Have you ever seen the Miss Murder music video? I'm serious.
Oh yeah.
You know the beginning with the rabbit, and it's like that chimey do that thing. That was like in the movie, like almost.
Whoa. Before we wrap it up, I want to give Jill a moment to discuss the themes of this movie.
This is my new favorite segment.
I fucking
Jill's theme corner. Let's talk about the themes, Jill.
We need like an intro song.
And I'm done.
Dang.
Well, let's land the plane on this one then and get into rating it. If you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Anthony, we'll start with you. What would you give Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
I would give this movie a yay, for me at least. I mean, I thought there was a good twist. I think there was some pretty good gore in it. I mean, the use of blood was great. I don't know, it was tense. There was some unsettling moments, especially when people were revealing pretty much their deepest, darkest secrets. And it just being just locked up in this house during a hurricane kind of gives it a claustrophobic feel too. So with also just Alice like shining throughout the whole movie. I would watch it again. It's a fun watch. So it's getting a yay from me.
Nice.
What about you, Jill?
Oh, you know what? Make that a double yay.
Wow.
Because I just think it's a super funny, dark comedy, fun movie with, Agatha Christie vibes, but make it modern. The music slapped. It was a fun time. If you're just looking for a fun little horror movie that doesn't take itself seriously, it could be like a good palate cleanser, maybe. But yeah, so that's 2 yays. What about you, Colton?
Yeah,
Bring it down.
This movie is not my vibe. I think such a great cast is wasted on this meandering, seemingly largely improvised script. The decision to light the latter half of the movie and basically with solely cell phone flashlights is atrocious. I think the camera work is shaky and juvenile at best. And I think the movie just gets significantly less funny after Pete Davidson dies, with Rachel Sennett being the sole exception there. So yeah, I don't get the hype or the love for this one. I was the first time I watched it, and I still am bored in this motherfucking house. It's an A. I'm bored.
So you
very bored.
I can't believe it. So you've dropped down from a slay to an A on this one.
That's unforgivable.
You lied on our Letterboxd review. Anyone who listened to that review knows it was very much not a slay. It is an A from me. Rowan, what about you?
So, I mean, I said when we were talking about it, I feel like I was being overly negative about it, but like I don't really have any negative feelings towards it. I thought it was a pretty enjoyable time. The music's good. I do like the score and the licensed stuff. Obviously, I do agree that, it could have used more Pete Davidson. He's obviously kind of the one that shines in this. And like anything I see Pete Davidson in now, every time I see him, all I think about is the Barbie ripoff, the I'm Just Pete song. That's all I think about. And
I love that song.
I know. Maybe that's how I'll end the episode with. It's just the I'm Just Pete.
I haven't heard that. I should check it out.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It was great. Like, It was when he hosted Saturday Night Live, the first episode of the season, I think. And
got it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But I will say I was a little less on this than I was when I saw it in the theater. Because I did really like it when I saw it in the theater. Like I said, I'm just this way with whodunits, where kind of once I know, kind of the mystery of it, I'm kind of a little bored at times. So this is like one of those weird things where I think I'm gonna go an okay, but it's like a pretty like high. Like I was a yay on the now slaying. I think I'm gonna take it down to an okay, but it's like it's not like a negative okay. Like pretty fine. I'd watch this movie again with someone that never saw it. Like I have a good time, but yeah, I'm gonna give it an okay. So an A, okay, 2 yays. Mike texted us, said give it a yay. So that's 3 yays really. So yeah, I'm sure that like averages out probably where it should be. So we told you what we thought of the film, and we asked what you thought, and we did get a couple people right in. So I'm gonna start on Twitter this time. Normally I start on Instagram. So we'll start on Twitter. We had one person write in, and Seen Unseen Cast wrote and said Connor O'Malley should show up at the end of every movie to ask what happened, which I 100% agree. I don't know. Hopefully there's a lot of listeners that are huge Detroiter fans and I Think You Should Leave Now fans. And yeah, this guy, he's in all those. He works with Tim Robinson from Saturday Night Live and those shows a lot. So I was pumped to see him come. Are you guys familiar with Connor O'Malley? No. He's like a comedic actor, so I was very pleased to see him in. So, Liam, I see ya. I understand where you're coming from. And next, we are going to go to Instagram, and we had 2 people write in. First, we had Melanie St. George that said, I still haven't seen this one. That's all she said. So, maybe check it out, see if you agree with Jill and Anthony, or if you're more of a hater like Colton.
Yeah, just go listen to all of our other episodes, and whoever you usually agree with, then decide what to do with this.
And then lastly, Horror Hound Holly P wrote in and said, I love this movie. It's so fun and young and fabulous. Great dialogue. I sadly guessed the ending very early on, but it didn't make it less of a good time. Can't wait for the episode.
That's adorable.
So, I mean, Holly, you listen enough that you should know going into the episode that Colton was probably going to trash talk it. So, anything you hold dear and near to your heart, Colton will make sure to take all the fun out of it.
Holly is a real one, so she's already listened to our Now Slaying 2 years ago. Knows where I stand on this movie.
That's right. And with that, we're going to go over to the horrific hotline where Nicholas has called in. Let's see what Nicholas thought of this one.
I wanted to give my opinion on Bodies, 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 which I think is a very funny and entertaining movie. I really enjoyed it. For me, it went by in such a short time, and I've rewatched it, I think, twice since it came out, and still find enjoyment in it. Mostly, I think, because I have to admit, and I don't want to brag, but I saw the twist at the end coming at a certain point in the movie, which just made it, like, the whole behavior of the characters even more hilarious for me. And on subsequent rewatches as well, the way they spread panic and overreact. And even though I should feel called out, belonging in like more or less the same age group, the movie still is so enjoyable and satirical for me. The characters are all great in how annoying they are portrayed, and some of the actors really give their best with this movie. So overall, I think it's just a very fun movie, also to rewatch, and a cool movie to watch with people who are not really that into horror, because for me it's more like a somewhere in between movie. It is a horror movie, but it's also kind of a crime thrillery mystery movie with comedic elements, and that works perfectly. And I've shown it to a few friends who don't enjoy horror movies, and they also like the movie, though I have to admit not as much as I do. Maybe I'm just a sucker for this movie, but I would give it, due to my personal enjoyment, I'd give it a weak slay. Though I think objectively the movie is more a yay.
Hell yeah, Nicholas.
Nicholas coming in hot.
So proud.
Coming in hot.
Not willing to watch Troll 2 again, and now slaying bodies.
I love it. I love that for you, Nicholas. I was going to say, I didn't bring that up when we were talking about it, but I could see, like, this being a good one to watch with people that don't really like horror, just because there's not like a lot of like typical horror elements in it. So, most people are like murder mystery stuff.
Yeah, some blood and gore that, Anthony mentioned, but not a whole lot there in the way of scares, I guess. And if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can do so by sending it to us at itslayspodcast@gmail.com or on any of our socials at itslayspodcast. Essentially, if you get a voice message to us, we'll find a way to make it on the air. And if you made it this far and you're not following us already, you can do so at It Slays Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky. If there's a social media, we're probably there at It Slays Podcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Mark, Steven, Joy, Dan, Brian, and Trevor, gain access to the Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, hosted by Jill, and get episodes of this here main show 48 hours early, be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Rowan, you mentioned Disaster Piece. Anything worthwhile making the playlist?
Or AFI.
I'd have to check, but I believe when we did the Now Slaying, I think I added some Disaster Piece stuff from
What
this.
about Bored in the House? Come on.
Yeah, I should have put that on, or Daddy as Fuck. Maybe that should lead the playlist
That's the move.
off.
That's the move.
But yeah, no, if you want to check out the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist, look it up on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that Colton just mentioned. Go in the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from horror movies we review, iconic horror movies, or just horror movies we love. So yeah, follow the playlist. We update it pretty regularly. And get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And with that, all that's left to wrap up this May 24 is to announce our next film, which it's not real. I mean, it kind of is a themed month. We do it every year. It's Pride Month.
It's a themed month, but Mike's not allowed to say that he hates this one. So.
Yeah, so...
That would be homophobic.
Yeah, it's Pride Month, and we're fighting homophobia at this podcast by making sure the straightest man we could find, Colton, gets the first pick to kick it off.
I wanted to do another themed month of Gay 24, but you guys shot it down. So here I am, just, with a regular Pride pick. And I think I'm going to go with We're All Going to the World's Fair, which, have you heard of this one, Rowan?
I have. Have
okay.
I seen it? I won't spoil it, but...
Yeah, so here in Newfoundland, we can't check out Jane Schronbrun's first movie, or the one that kind of, put them on the map. I Saw the TV Glow. Well, I got that reversed. We can't check out the latest movie, I Saw the TV Glow, so I figured let's check out, their breakout feature from a few years ago, We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Very Jill-coded, so... Yeah, at least the cover looks it. It looks like something Jill be into. I'm very interested in that pick. So yeah, get that into your eye holes, and we will be back. I'm sure you'll be hearing from us. There's, I think this week, Now Slaying coming out. There's a Stream Screams coming out that I've got loaded up. So yeah, there's going to be lots of stuff coming, and then I'm sure Colton will disappear like he normally does and, make this pick and then not show up for it.
Likely. Yes, very likely.
So with that, thank you for all the support. I am your humble host, Rowan.
Are we going to thank Anthony for being on the show? Or
Jeez,
no, we're just going to...
I was like, why not end it like we started it, in pure chaos? So,
well, he's part of the podcast now. He's taken over.
Kind of like the house in Bodies, just delving in the craziness. Yes, Anthony. Before we say goodbye, is there anything you want to say? You want people to add? You want anything? You want people not to add you or look you up on anything?
What's your review of Troll 2?
Masterpiece.
Thank you.
Just like
All
Haunted
right.
Mansion.
Good.
But
the shade.
But you could find me on Instagram at AntLego79. But yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah, we'll have you back. As always, we enjoy having you. And, I think you'll make an acceptable replacement for Jill. So, yeah, we'll work that out. The severance pay, all that stuff. With that, I am your humble host, Rowan.
I'm Colton.
And bye. It's Jill.
And this is Anthony.
See you later.
What are the features that you're bringing to the
I
table?
just look like I fuck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I look like I fuck. And that's the vibe I like to put out there.